Hello, hello. I can hear
Hi.
myself. God, I love listening to myself. You can hear yourself okay? Here, put the mic a little bit closer.
Okay.
There we go. Does that feel good?
Yes.
Okay, let's actually tilt it towards like that.
Okay.
Yay!
Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Conservatish episode 23. And our guest today is Lily, how do you say, Akopova?
Akopova.
Akopova.
Yes.
All right. Well, I did it almost perfectly.
Almost.
I'm proud of myself. I really appreciate you coming on. This is
you.
A great gift. I've been watching Justin. Justin, we were just talking about him. Justin saw me perform maybe 3 years ago and liked my nonsense. And then I saw his video, his Walkaway video.
Yes.
Maybe 6 months ago or so. And it really was really inspiring just that he was willing to be honest about it. Already I had kind of been thinking about starting a podcast, but I hadn't fully officially started it like I did a few months ago. But watching him share his experiences about being a gay man and, you know, not necessarily buying in with all the Democratic stuff, you know, I wanted to cuss, but we're gonna ladies and gentlemen, up front, I'm letting you know, I'm doing my best to not cuss, and I'm gonna have to come back, I'm sure, and probably watch my tongue and edit things. But watching his video, you know, was really inspiring, and I let him know, and then we started talking, and you know, and he, and then I saw yours a few months ago before I reached out to you. Maybe, what do you think? When do you think you first joined the Walkaway?
It was back in July.
Back in July,
yes.
Okay. And did you post that video right away?
I found the group #Walkaway campaign on Facebook, and I started watching some of the testimonials, and I saw that that's exactly how I feel, and I have to be a part of that group. I was so happy finally I saw somebody who feels the way I do, and I said that I have got to share my story, because I feel like I also have a story that, you know, it changed me, it changed who I am, and honestly, I needed some support, because I don't have much of the support in the city that we live in. It's a very liberal city, so I posted it right away as soon as I found out about it. Right.
Yeah, it's such an important thing, because some people, at first they were calling it the Walkaway movement Russian bots.
Yes.
And you are Russian.
I am.
So it makes sense. But
yeah.
But she's drinking a white chocolate mocha, so I don't think you're robotic. But also, it really is quite I mean, I think that's part of what this podcast is about, is not just giving everybody a platform, which is kind of corny or whatever, but giving everybody a platform, but also the support you were talking about. Like, it's an important thing to feel like, you know, so often, especially when the 2016 election was going down and all that stuff, I was like, am I the only one who like doesn't hate this dude? Like, I don't hate the dude. You know, when my my ex, I told the story, like one of my ex-girlfriends at the time, like the day he was elected, called me up crying, and I'm like trying to, you know, I'm like, well, I mean, it's probably not that crazy, you know, like maybe we just need that for a minute, you know, and you know, but like, you know, living in San Francisco and especially with my experience being a part of the hip hop kind of environment and the music environment, there is like, you have to believe.
Yeah, you're done if you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the support angle is it's an important thing, you know, to not feel like you're alone, or at least, you know, I've had multiple people tell me over the last few days, like, I love your podcast. I don't agree with everything everyone says, but you know, it's like, oh, so you don't have to agree.
Great, yeah. Let's not agree, but let's be able to talk about it. Let's learn from each other. We don't have to agree.
Right, and you don't have to demonize the other side. You can stay human, and you know, and I feel like that's a growing movement. You know, not just the Walkaway campaign, but also podcasts like Joe Rogan and, you know, even Shapiro. All these people, Jordan Peterson, are kind of straddling this left and right thing and bringing us all towards like, oh, okay, more reason. I guess
people are waking up. People are finally waking up and seeing that the media has been lying to them. Everybody around them has been lying to them, and things aren't as scary as they think. We are not terrible Nazi racists as they thought we were.
You mean the right? Or everyone.
Or
America in general.
Anybody who doesn't agree with the leftists, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I want to go into as much stuff as possible, but I guess we could start with you grew up in Russia?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Moscow City, and it's a big difference. I'd never seen a gay guy until I moved to America. I'd never seen an African American person until I moved to America. So it was a lot of I was overwhelmed because I'd only seen this in the movies, in Hollywood movies growing up. And now I moved here and it's like I am in this movie now. I'm living it. It's amazing,
How old were you when you moved out here?
18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you had a lot of experience. You were an adult when you officially moved to...
Right. I had to learn the language. I didn't speak English when I moved here. I was starting all over.
Okay.
So I think because of that, I have this deep appreciation of living in America because I know what it cost me to get here in the first place. So when I see leftists say America was never great, how they think everybody is a racist, everybody is a Nazi, you don't know what you're talking about because you have nothing to compare it to. I've seen actual discrimination. I've seen... you don't see African American people in Russia because they won't even let them in. You're not going to be treated very well in Russia. And, so when they say things like that, it's appreciate what you have. What we have in America is amazing through my eyes, at least.
Absolutely. Now, does Moscow City specifically differentiate a lot from the rest of the country?
Not really.
Is it more liberal in Moscow than if there is such a thing as liberal-ish?
I wouldn't say so. It's Russia, they feel the same.
Okay.
Yeah, not really. But yeah, my point is that I've seen both, and because I've experienced what I've experienced in Russia, I appreciate what we have here.
Right.
Yeah.
What was your experience kind of growing up outside of the political realm, outside of world thoughts and etc.? Like, did you have a pretty happy, childhood?
Yeah. I was never into politics ever until I moved to San Francisco a couple years ago. I was a really happy person, carefree. Yeah, life was great. Life was great. And
so you moved to San Francisco when you were 18. Or no, you moved to America.
Right. It was LA. Yeah.
Okay.
I still in LA back then. I was in college. I didn't really see what I'm seeing here in San Francisco. This is a way more liberal area.
Right.
And I work in social work, so you definitely have to be very sensitive around identity politics kind of issues. So this is where I really had to live through all of this.
Right. So you probably, I mean, there must be so much pent up stuff for you where you're just like,
Yes.
Quick question. I was also wondering, is there still, so it's been 10 years since you moved to America? Or
pretty much 19 years, yeah.
About 19, okay. And do you still ever feel, just on a completely personal level, do you ever feel like you still feel like insecurity language-wise? Do you ever feel like you don't?
No, you don't
have a hard time communicating.
No,
okay, good.
No.
Because for me, I would feel, I'm not a smart man, so I would just. Okay, so you move to LA, you do college. Are you immediately grateful about America, or did you feel like that kind of came from time?
No, it took me time because it was a huge culture shock.
Right.
You have to understand, my entire life I lived in a country that's very different from this one, and I didn't know the language. That was a huge part. It's very difficult when you can't communicate with literally everybody around you. So I missed Russia very much. That's where I spent my entire life, 18 years of my life, and I was depressed for the first couple years. I didn't even want to go outside and let people see me. But later on, I started learning the language and making friends. I found a Russian community in America. That helped me out a lot. I kind of slowly started feeling much better. And now it's been years, and this is also my home now. And I have a lot of beautiful friends here as well. And I see that American people are beautiful people. So this is my home as well.
Right. Do you feel a connection to LA anymore, or you just kind of...
No, I'm not going there. No
one does. It's an awful place.
No offense.
I have listeners in LA and fight me. I cussed. Dang
No
it.
worries, no worries.
All right, I'll be able to cut that out. 9 minutes 56. It took me 9 minutes and 56 seconds.
That's pretty good.
Anyway, so you moved to San Francisco. Was there a strong passion for social work before moving to San Francisco, or is that something you fell into?
I majored in psychology in college, and
Nice.
this is really interesting because as a psychology major, I was really into experiments on conformity. You know, they do a lot of experiments, and I hated thinking that maybe I would be one of those people who conformed. I was always against that. I would say that I'm not going to conform. And now it happened to me.
Okay.
You know, I moved to San Francisco and I conformed, and people ask me, well, how did this happen to you? You were an adult. How did you let them brainwash you and become a leftist? I see how they would say that. Mm-hmm. But when you are in that bubble, you don't know it's happening to you.
Right.
You know, it's happening very slowly and you don't realize. And, you know, those people in the psychological experiments were also adults and they couldn't tell which line was longer, which line was shorter.
Right.
You know, so...
So what was some of the ways, so you moved to, obviously you came from Russian, it seems like for me, and I'm, ignorant about it mostly, but it seems like it is much more of a conservative place.
Yes,
Russia,
yes,
okay,
yes.
Where like they don't, I mean, I think didn't Putin say like there are like no gays, or no, that was a Middle Eastern guy, but like they don't.
It's pretty close.
And I know there was still persecution for being homosexual in Russia, right?
How do I say this? It's definitely not easy being gay in Russia. I mean, it's going to be a lot of violence, physical violence. It's very sad.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's much more of a, from our terms, a conservative place.
Right.
Now, what of those things did you hold more of those values even through LA and into San Francisco?
Yeah, because that's all I saw growing up. I also, I wasn't really sure how I felt about that when I moved here. Sure. Because it was the first time I met gay people.
Right.
But then I started, making connections and became friends with some of them, and I'm still friends with them, and I tell them all the time that you're the reason that I feel the way I feel now. You're the person who kind of helped open my eyes and be more open-minded and sensitive around this.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason that I think this, why I called it conservative, and part of the reason why this is like hitting a chord with people is because, I like, one of the taglines, I like gays and guns. Am I allowed to like, I don't want to be all the way on the right or all the way on the far left either. Like can't we just talk? You know what I mean? Like, okay, so did you hold any of your conservative values? So you said you moved to San Francisco, and how did your conservative values start to break down?
So I work in social work, and there's my clients we have transgender people, we have gay people, of course, all kinds of races, and all of them tell me their story, and they've been through a lot, and I'm the one who tries to help them cope with it. So hearing those stories, of course, breaks my heart because they've been through a lot and not their fault at all. So of course that helped me open my eyes a little bit and be more sensitive around that.
Okay. And then so that started to open you up a little bit. At what point did you said you started to be brainwashed? When did that start, and how did it start?
I have no idea at what point it started exactly because it was happening very slowly, but I started noticing little things like my friends would say, I respect you because you're a feminist, and in my head I was thinking, well, actually I'm not, but she said she respects me, so I guess I'm not gonna say anything. Things like that. They assumed that I was one of them. They assumed because they really don't see other people here. They only see leftists, so they assume I'm one of them. And so I kind of kept quiet. I was kind of silent because I'm an introvert as it is. So I don't really like to argue with people. Well, at least I didn't. Yeah. So I kind of kept my mouth shut and let them think whatever they thought about me, because I wanted to be friends with them, and I wasn't sure how they were going to react. Right. Now I know how they're going to react.
Right. Well, and plus, I mean, you made a good point too, when it's like, oh, I respect you, and so they stroke your ego a little bit.
Right.
And in the Bay Area especially, or on Facebook, social media, anywhere, there's such a social currency in being a leftist or in being a liberal or whatever. Yes. Like there's a moral, I have character and I care about the little guy, whoever the little guy is, and I can change the little guy all the time. It's like the cup game. You put the ball under the 3 cups, and now you move it around, and you got which cup has the ball under it. It's like they keep moving it, whoever the victim is, the victim du jour, if you're a feminist, yeah, but I love those awful signs. Those awful signs from the Women's March, like screw white feminism. It's like, okay, so now we have to get even more victim. Now you can't even be a marching girl. Like, oh, now you have to also check your privilege racially, and check your privilege trans, and check your privilege on not being fat as well, or check your privilege on, like, all this nonsense. Yeah, anyway.
Right. As soon as you hear something like white supremacy, you get 10 points from the Democrat Party. It's like it's a game, and they're trying to get some points, so they're trying to look for that in people.
Right. And that's very tempting. It's really tempting to when I was thinking about doing this podcast, and I've been more center to right leaning now for, I want to say, 2 years roughly. A little bit after the election, I started to actually research, and my walk in that was kind of like, I'm friends with a lot of liberal people, not just through Facebook, or the reason, but also, I'm sorry, not just because I live in the Bay Area, but also because I'm a musician, and because of all that coming from that,
Yes.
And also I'm half Puerto Rican, and so of course I'm liberal, and I would see all these, anti-Milo Yiannopoulos articles, and I was like, is he really the devil? Like, let me research. And so I started doing my research, and just scratching the surface just a bit. I was like, this isn't as bad. He's not that bad. Like, he's maybe provocative, or he's trying to be a little, he fudges some, he's definitely like, he's certainly not, my favorite at the moment. He's much more like flamboyant and kind of, says it way over the top. But he was kind of like Nirvana to me. He was kind of like a gateway drug. I needed to, like, once I realized that he wasn't Satan, I was like, oh, okay, well, let me look at these other people, Gavin McInnes or Ben Shapiro. I was like, oh, wow. And they started saying things that I super related to. And it was, I just dunked my head in a bunch of videos over the course of maybe 3 days. And I was like, uh-oh. I don't think I'm liberal. Uh-oh.
Right. Yeah. No, they're not the sensitive type. Not exactly. But are they the devil? I don't think so. And Ben Shapiro is actually, God bless him, he's the one who opened my eyes. Right. He's the one, he's
the Nazi, even though he's Jewish. They call him a Nazi. That one.
And white supremacist.
Yes. Right. So the social currency, you eventually, did you, because I also feel that there is something to be said for, not just the ego stroke of, okay, I'm a leftist, or the acceptance part of it where I want to fit in, and so I'm a leftist. Right. But there's also the feelings thing. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm a bad person. Not just I don't want other people to think I'm a bad person, but I also don't want to feel like a bad person. And if everybody has already labeled Trump, as an example, as a white supremacist, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt black people. I don't want to. So there's an internal dialogue that you have with yourself without doing any research. You just hear someone says, or Trump is this, XYZ. And so it's like, oh, okay. Like, as an example, the synagogue shooting last week. There was an article shared where the headline said, and a bunch of people read, because that's what journalism is right now, is just quoting, BuzzFeed will quote a New York Times, New York Times will quote someone else's article. No one's actually writing their own crap. See, I'm doing good with cussing. There was an article that said, Jewish leaders of Philadelphia say you're not welcome Trump. And it was like, wait a second, and that sounds like the Jewish leaders of Philadelphia are saying that Trump's not welcome in Philadelphia. But it actually turns out it wasn't the Jewish leaders, as if there's just one, or one synagogue or one, sect. It was a group that is Jewish slanted, but also political. It's a liberal group that are Jewish. It's a liberal, and not just that, but it's also run by George Soros' son.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Those Jewish leaders, which is a very small, very narrow, very specific group, wrote an op-ed, blah, blah, blah article to Trump saying, you're not welcome here. And so obviously, and then the New York Times, whoever it was, just took that and said, Jewish leaders say Trump isn't well. It's like, whoa, that's...
That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. The media makes it look like Trump is a terrible person.
Right.
At his rallies, they will only, take a video of people who are white males. They will not show the diversity, the African Americans,
Right.
everybody else.
Right.
They will only cut out the pieces from videos where he doesn't look so good or he doesn't say something good. They will never show the millions of people coming to his rallies or
Right.
the signs that say women for Trump.
Right.
They will never show that because that
Right.
doesn't fit in their agenda.
Right. Same thing with Kavanaugh. There were so many
Oh.
times where pictures of females that say women for Kavanaugh and like, oh, no. Get those people over there. No. They're obviously hate women. It's like, what are you talking about?
Honestly, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible what happened to that man, but something good came out of that because it opened other people's eyes. It showed so many people walked away because of this. Our group started blowing up, Walkaway
Right.
campaign, and
Right.
a lot of people started saying the way they treated Kavanaugh, that was not okay, and
Right.
I'm done. I'm done with the Democrat Party.
Right. So there's the internal idea of I don't want to feel like a bad person, but when did it start? So you felt like, how many years do you feel like you were a leftist in San Francisco?
Honestly, so I've been here for maybe 3 years only, and the
Okay.
first 2 years, pretty much 2 years of my life, I feel like I lost because it's like an out-of-body experience. I look back at it and I can't believe this happened to me. I can't believe that I let them do this to me.
Okay.
But a year ago is when I really, saw what was happening when my favorite conservative speaker, Ben Shapiro, came to speak at UC Berkeley.
Now, how did you stay a fan of Ben's even though you were a leftist?
I started hearing from him maybe a month before he came here, and I saw this video of him debating a leftist on transgenderism, and when I saw it, and it was the first time I saw somebody speak up like that, and I was like, oh man, I mean, how brave is that? Obviously, he's gonna say some stuff that people aren't gonna like, and I had these feelings that, finally somebody's speaking up, but also I'm afraid for him as well. But the way he destroyed his arguments,
he really did.
made me
that.
feel just amazing,
Yeah, that's one of the things, first things first, that's one of the things about Ben that really,
Yeah.
I think he's dorky,
Yeah,
tell you the
he
truth.
is.
Like, if I needed somebody to play basketball with or hip-hop, I'm not going to go, I'm
Not the
sorry,
guy.
Benny, you're on your own. But if I'm going to need somebody to be a tiny little, like, debate attack dog, he's the guy. He knows his stuff, and he's very quick.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to talk to you real quick. Let's break down this a little bit. I think, and this is a personal journey that I've been working on. Okay, yes, maybe they did that to you, but I also think, because like you said, what did you say? You said, well, I hate that they did that to you to make you a leftist. I also feel like you did it to yourself, just like I did it to myself. I often, it's scary to act like yourself. It's scary, like for me, to believe my own things. When I was getting ready to do this podcast, I'm like, I'm going to lose friends. I'm going to lose family members. I don't want to, and so I did it to myself, kind of keeping myself quiet, like for a long time, and so there is, I think, a fear factor in that we are responsible for our own fears of speaking up, fears of sharing stuff, all that stuff.
Yeah, you don't exactly want to lose all of your family and all of your friends and literally everybody that you've known for your entire life. Right. That's scary as hell.
Right. So you saw the Shapiro video, and then a month later or so, you said he was coming to Berkeley.
Yes, yes. I was so excited because, that's when I started, researching more and kind of looking up conservative speakers more and really getting into that. That was, I was just getting started. And when he came to UC Berkeley, I was ecstatic because I really loved the way he argued with people, and I wanted to be like him.
Yeah. That's one of the things that, who was... Someone was on here recently, and they were like, Trump empowers people because he says things that people feel like they. I'm like, I kind of feel like, he's unpolished, which is sometimes great, and sometimes like, you stick his foot in his mouth, But at the same time, like, he says things that Ben says things. All these people say things, and they don't. There's such a freedom in watching someone else be that. I mean, that's why stand-up comedy is such a powerful art, and it's such a powerful tool. Because suddenly someone says something that is true. And it's not even like you were trying to not say it, but it hits your belly in this weird way where you're like, oh, truth.
Right.
And it makes you laugh sometimes, and it makes you think. And it's like, oh, wow, okay, this is a whole new thing. So were you planning on going?
I was absolutely planning on going.
Okay.
I actually, just recently, I posted on my Facebook page this screenshot because it's been a year, and I remembered that screenshot where I asked my most open-minded leftist friend to go with me because I was afraid to go by myself. I'd never done anything like that.
Did she know at that point that you were moving to the center to the right?
He did, yes.
Oh, he did.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
And I have this screenshot where it shows a huge paragraph of him replying to me saying, oh my gosh, you realize we might be killed. You realize that they're going to think we are KKK or neo-Nazis. You realize that they're going to do something to us just because we are not protesting with them, let alone going to actually see Shapiro.
Right.
And it was this paragraph of him saying all these things. And I was like, okay, that's pretty much what I expected, but I had to ask.
Right. But it would have probably been better to go with somebody than by yourself.
Oh, yeah, because of the physical violence, because of the Antifa. That's some scary stuff.
It is. And and that makes a good point, too, because it's not just, oh, I'm, a part of the Proud Boys, or I'm going to the actual talk itself, and Antifa will mess with you. It also is... You're just a random white person in a car.
Exactly.
And they'll beat your, they'll knock your windows out and drag you out of the car. That is some violent, crazy riot stuff.
Yeah, that's what's happening in the country right now. Free speech is no longer free speech.
Yeah.
Free speech cost $1.5 million when Ben Shapiro came to town.
Right.
Because they needed to get 3 helicopters and 600 policemen to keep everybody safe.
Right.
They closed down buildings at the university.
What does free speech or speech in general look like in Russia?
I mean, I honestly haven't been there. I haven't been there for the past 10 years, so I'm not sure how things have changed in Russia.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even want to say because I don't want to, I'm not sure anymore.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when I saw that happening too, I also wanted to go. But even from a dude perspective, which is, like I don't know. I was like, I'm not gonna, I think, I was like, I'm not gonna go spend $100 to get into a fight. You know what I mean? With people, like I might get shot or I might get hit. I just, there's such a, it's creepy.
You know what? Nowadays, I would. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but I am so sick and tired of being silent. I don't care. I would obviously have somebody with me, and I would try to be as safe as possible, but I'm not going to sit in my home, close my windows, and just be by myself, scared under the blanket. Right. No, I'm done with that.
Right.
And this past weekend, I finally started meeting more people who are conservatives, who are Trump supporters, who actually wore Trump hats. It was the first time I saw people wear Trump hats.
In public, right.
Exactly.
Right.
And I wore mine for the first time. I've had it for a long time. Couldn't wear it because of the violence, because somebody was going to punch me in the face.
Right.
But now I feel like I might do that soon because... I'm exhausted. Being afraid is exhausting.
Yeah,
just being anxious 24/7. At least this way, if I'm true to myself, at least I know what to expect.
Right. Right on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this past weekend. So you, or maybe we'll. I don't have any, direction or exact structure, but let's talk about this weekend. So, what was this past weekend?
This past weekend was the Walkaway March.
Yay!
We are so proud of this event.
Okay. It was in D.C.
So it was in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. We marched from DNC to the Capitol. We literally walked away from the Democratic Party.
Where's the DNC?
It's very close.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it was like a few blocks marching. It was, and then we had a rally. But the point of this was, so when the Walkaway campaign first started, Democrats started freaking out because they saw that millions are leaving their party. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then they did what they usually do, is make up a lie to distract everybody. They said that those aren't even real people who are leaving the Democratic Party. Those are Russian bots.
Right.
Completely delusional story, but some people bought it. Mm-hmm. So then Brandon Strzok, my boss, and the person who started the Walkaway campaign did a call to action. He said, hey, everybody, they're thinking we're bots. Let's make video testimonials. Let's share your story on camera so they can see you're a real person. You're a human being. You're not a robot. And that's what we did. We did video testimonials, and everybody submitted them and shared their story, and it was beautiful.
And that takes guts, by the way. I mean, that takes a lot more guts than sharing a meme that says "I believe in feminism" or sharing it's so much more guts just to do that in a video, much less go to DC, than it is to hold up a sign. Mm-hmm. In San Francisco. Yeah. Like holding up a sign at a women's march in San Francisco. I'm sorry, ladies, but let's be let's be real. Yeah. That does not take guts at all. I'm doing what I'm going. No one is going to the women's march and holding signs across the street that say I want to. No one is throwing bottle rockets at the women's march. No one is doing the things that they're doing to the right now.
Exactly. What these people did was very brave. Very brave. And so even that wasn't enough for the leftists, because they said, oh, okay, those are people, they are paid models, paid actors. Who were
really?
Paid, yes.
Nice.
So no matter what you do, you can't reason with them. So the march was about us showing up in person and showing them that we're not robots. So we live in these are the days where if you disagree with somebody, you must be a robot, and you have to prove that you're not a robot if you're a conservative. This is just beyond me.
Right.
So there was a speaker at the march that said, remember when you wanted to change your political party, all you had to do was to fill out a voter registration form? Mm-hmm. Well, nowadays you have to march on Washington because the Democrats didn't want to let you leave.
Right.
So that was amazing. We did a march, we did a rally, we had beautiful, amazing speakers sharing their story. And the thing is that, when you see leftists do this kind of thing, there's usually violence, there's usually... It doesn't look pretty. Here, everything was so friendly and welcoming, and the diversity was amazing. There were transgender people, gay people, Black, Hispanic, Christian, not Christian, everybody. I was staying at the Trump Hotel, and before I even entered, I was on my way there. Before I entered, a couple came up to me and gave me a hug because they saw my Walkaway sweatshirt. Oh. And it's like we were best friends forever, but I'd never met them before. We're all a family because we know what each of us had to go through, and all of our stories are very similar. It's the same thing. It's Democrats treating us like... nobody.
Right.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do. I did see that you had who's that gorgeous black girl from Clueless? What's her name? The speaker. What's her name? Not Candace.
Candace Owens also was. She was at the Trump Hotel with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it. Now I need to find out. Who is she? What is her name? Anyway, no, I saw that. Here, there we go. Drum roll, please. Stacey Dash. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So you had Stacey Dash.
Uh-huh.
And she spoke there.
Yes.
What was that like? If you need a minute, take a minute.
It was amazing because I think she was the one who started talking about men and how men are treated in these days, and I'm so happy that somebody said something, because especially after the Kavanaugh situation, and she said things like, "Can we just show them that we love our men and we respect our men, and they're amazing, and God bless their masculinity."
Right.
So it was amazing to hear somebody say that.
You grew up with masculinity around?
Oh yeah.
Atta girl. Yeah, no, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a woman, either here or outside of here, about someone on the episode. There's this episode called The Good Girl. Right. Very dirty. If you're a family person, don't let anybody listen to that episode. Very, very dirty. It's a great episode. But that as an example. Over and over, I talk to women who are like, yeah, I don't hate men, and I don't hate masculinity, and I appreciate being a female, and I like my feminine energy, and I like, not like all women have to cook and all women have to, but I like to take care of people, and I like to be maternal, and I like to cook, and I like to, I like to do fancy stuff, and I like to be, you can be honest with your belly, you can be honest with the animal that's inside you, and that takes respect. To respect yourself, as whether it be masculine or feminine, also means you respect other people for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're attacking someone else for their masculinity, then you're just not happy with yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. People ask me, how am I single? I ask them, where are all the men? The closest.
You're living in the wrong city, princess. I'm sorry. You're living in the wrong city.
The closest I've ever gotten to dating a girl was dating a leftist guy. So. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times, even on that episode, I talked about how, often I'll see all this, hate against, and I get it. We were abusive for a long time. We didn't let you vote and all that stuff, right? Okay, so it's swinging, the pendulum's swinging. But there were many times where I was sitting maybe 2 weeks ago in this group, this kind of convention kind of thing, and I was looking around, and I was like, and it's in San Francisco. And I was like, there's a lot of women here. There are a lot of males. Like, I know they have the genitalia. But I'm like, if someone came in right now, started swinging a bat, no one's going to look at the girls. They're going to look to me and, one other dude.
Yep.
Like, the rest of these dudes are, just kind of watery. They're just not, they're just not just not exciting. They're just not dudes. They just don't have dudeness. You know what I mean? And if it was all of a sudden, you can talk about all the patriarchy and evil and rail against and have your women sign, but when the rubber meets the road and all of a sudden you need someone with muscles to protect you, who are you going to look to?
Exactly. We need our protectors. There's nothing wrong with, having to protect somebody.
Right. So you grew up with masculinity. Obviously, that's a Russian, kind of more of a Russian value. Look at that. I like the face. I just love it here. Yeah, warm already in here. All right, now listen. So you grew up with that. I'm sure you ran into some dudes in LA. There are some dudes. Here's what I've found. In Oakland, as an example. In Oakland and Berkeley, and I've talked about this on the podcast. You are only allowed masculinity if you're black, if you're Mexican. If you're white, you are no longer allowed to have testicles.
If you're white, you're not allowed to have anything. If you're a white guy, you should hate yourself and do anything you can to make others feel like kings and queens.
Right. And not just that, even if you call yourself an ally, that's even problematic, quote unquote, because then we can't attribute white supremacy to you, or there's just no winning. And here's what it is. Here's the base argument. The reason why it's never going to be enough, it will never be enough for these leftists, is because bullies are never happy. If a bully beats you up and takes your money today, he's not going to see you tomorrow and say, hey, dude, thanks for the money. Right. He's going to say, give me more money. Exactly. And he's going to hit you again. In fact, instead of $1 yesterday, give me $1.50 today.
Right.
That's until you stand up to somebody, it doesn't change. Because as soon as because that's a natural thing. We want to shame people. We want to bully people. We want to find power anywhere we can, especially if we feel like we don't have any. And a lot of the people on the left, I feel like a lot of the people who are going crazy, are really just people who feel powerless kind of in their life. People who walk around, and especially women, by the way, who don't know why they haven't found a dude and don't know why they don't want to, like a lot of the whole body positivity stuff, right? About just let me be as fat as I want, is that they've tried to lose a weight, kind of, and they haven't found the sexual partners that they'd like, and so they just say, screw it, I'm going to wear sweatpants all day long, and I'm going to eat whatever I want, and I love myself, quote unquote, which you're lying, girls. I just love myself as much, no matter what I like.
They say not to objectify women, and then they do this grab them by the ballot thing. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen
a bunch of naked women. It's like, what are you saying? So choose one. You can't have both.
I do want to say something about that too. I can already feel the puckering, as I sometimes call it, the people going
right.
About what I'm about to say. But I mean, the reality is the reality. Trump was telling a joke when he said grab him by the P word. He was not being serious. Even whatever, I'm not saying all of the allegations are 100% false all the time forever. All I'm saying is in that specific instance, in the bus, he was making a joke. And not just that, he said they let
Thank you.
He said they let you. Which he even, into his joke, into his hyperbole, he said he included consent into his joke.
Trump grabbed my vote and I let him. Boom.
Good girl.
Boom.
Now, when in this whole process, when did you come across the Walkaway movement?
Around July, yeah.
Okay.
I was following another guy, Anomaly, and he was kind of introducing his followers to that, and that's how I found out about it. Looked it up on Facebook.
Okay.
And my life changed completely. I finally. I was starting to think that I was the only one in this entire world, and that I was the only Republican and there were nobody else, because I'm in this bubble. I don't see anything outside this bubble.
Right.
And now I saw that, hey, actually there's millions and millions of other people who are just like me, and that I'm not alone. And that's such a powerful thing, to know that you are not alone.
Right.
That's everything. And a lot of people have lost their family and friends, but they've also gained a new family and new friends who are actually there for them.
Right. And I don't feel like when I see videos of, like, as an example, there's a video of a black Proud Boy talking to the camera. Like, I don't feel like that's a guy who hates himself. You know what I mean? I don't feel like you as a non-feminist, if you will, hates yourself. I think that they have kind of hijacked what feminism was. Have you ever heard of Camille Paglia?
No.
She's great. Watch it. I don't agree with every single thing, but I don't need to agree with every single thing someone said. But Camille Paglia is this teacher. And she's written lots of books about stuff. She was a kind of a first wave feminist, not this second, third nonsense, right?
Right.
She was a first wave feminist, and she talks a lot about how how back in the days when she was joining school, the first kind of wave of feminism in the early 60s was in the 50s. Colleges were acting like parents. Okay, so this is what they did. Colleges would say, females, you're going to have a curfew because we don't want you to be raped. Men don't have a curfew, so they can just go hog wild into the streets. But women, we need to home by 9 or 10 p.m. and this is to keep you safe. And Camille Paglia and the feminists of that age said, "Hey, don't be my dad, don't be my mom. Give me the freedom to be raped. Let me be free. Don't put me in this box, right?" And that's what feminism was. And then it turned into this thing where now it's gone all the way back around to now. There are kangaroo courts in colleges and universities all over the country that are effectively becoming the parents again. And they're saying, we need to protect these females, and so we're going to, as soon as there's an accusation, just the accusation of a rape or a sexual assault or a whatever, we're going to literally almost end this person's not just college career, but their professional career, their life. We're going to end this guy's life, and you don't even have to go to court. Don't call the cops. Don't do don't go through the process that everyone else does. We're just a couple of administrators, and we're just going to decide whether this is true or not. We're going to get all the, and it's creepy. And now it's gone full circle where now the feminism has gone so crazy that now they are actually saying women are less they do need to be, in order to protect women, we need to beat men and put men down.
Right. So in order to be a feminist these days, you have to do the following. You have to, of course, hate Trump. Mm-hmm. You have to hate men. Mm-hmm. It's obviously not what it used to be. Nowadays, it's, with the hating men situation, it's amazing to me when leftist guys think this way and protect women who say these things, because you do realize I could do this to you tomorrow, right? You do realize tomorrow I could pick any leftist I want, any leftist I see in the street, and accuse him of something that he did to me 20 years ago.
Right.
I mean, if I don't need evidence either. I mean, do you realize what you're doing? This could have been you. Kavanaugh
Right.
could have been you.
Right.
How do they not realize this? That they're not safe. They're men.
Well, I think what it is that these guys, it goes to that point, you're not seeing masculinity in the men around you. Guys, we want sex and we want partners and we want to feel like we want to be a part of that hierarchy. But a lot of guys have not been taught how to be a man and how to be masculine as an adult. And so in order to find the sex that they want, in order to find the partners that they want, in order to find the status that they want, instead of being a man and being themselves, like being honest with the animal inside of them, they do it the roundabout way. They do it the backdoor way. They do it the manipulative way where, okay, I'll nice guy my way into some sex, or I'll nice guy my way into some status. I'll show you that I'll wave my big feminism flag so that you'll sleep with me. You know what I mean? I'll wave my big, look at how much I care. Look at how much I care. Which ultimately, not only does it also put them in the position, like you said, where, all of a sudden you're an ally. You made a move on me.
Exactly.
You made you tried to kiss me. What a problematic, awful, evil person.
Yeah.
And not just that, female, like real females are not attracted to soy boys. Like real females are not attracted to these watery, wimpy. Here's a great little thing. My ex once, she made this list and she sent it to me because I had told her over and over, like, baby, you're not attracted to wimpy guys. You need to whatever, go for the dudes, or at least allow the dudes towards you because it's more dangerous, but it's more fun and you'll be happier. So she made this list because she realized, she was like, most attractive at top, second, middle, medium attractive in the middle, least attractive on the bottom. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is the hierarchy. Most attractive, middle attractive, least attractive. Most attractive were guys who were capable of murder, but treated me like a princess. That's the sentence she wrote. Capable of murder, but treated me like a princess. Second were guys who were capable of bad, capable of wrong, but were also jerks. Mm-hmm. Third were guys who were incapable of any harm and were super nice. So guys up here were guys who were like tough, who could like protect her, but were also, who were kind of jerks, but like not jerks. Like they were kind of, like didn't care, they didn't sway in the breeze depending on her feelings, right? Mm-hmm. Guys who were capable of murder, yet treated me like a princess. Guys in the middle were guys who were capable of some harm, but also jerks. And then guys at the bottom were like warm, she said, like wet noodles. So a lot of guys are trying to nice their way. And by the way, nice guys, soy boys, that only works like you have like, there are some men out there. I'm not trying to act like I'm, but there are some men out there who only have like 3 sexual partners their entire lives. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like come on, boys, you're not happy. It's not working the way you're trying to do it. It's not working. And I don't think it's a conscious thing. I think these boys just have grown up without proper male influences.
A lot of guys are afraid too, and they have to be part of that category. Like I have a friend, and somebody tried to pull that on him. Some girl tried to accuse him of rape and tried to sue him, and he had to show text where she was obviously not innocent. Like she knew what was going on, and there was no. She lost. Obviously, she lost because it was just a lie. And so now he's afraid of even coming up to a girl and talking to her because there's this PTSD that I could have gone to jail for nothing. So a lot of people are afraid of being these tough guys now, because no matter what you do, she'll find some crazy feminist is going to find a way to ruin your entire life for no reason at all. I feel so bad for men these days, because I don't know what I would do if somebody accused me of something like that. It's just the injustice.
Well, I don't feel bad for men these days, and here's why. It's our fault. It's our fault. When I've talked to a lot of females like you about like where are all the men, y'all don't have an idea of how to fix it, nor should you. It's our job to fix ourselves.
Right.
It's our job to be good, responsible men and show other men how to be dudes. This is part of the way. Doing this podcast and talking about this and being, I'm not saying I'm an example for lots of different things, especially, how to eat the right way necessarily. But like, part of helping out other dudes is the fact that like, I can't tell you how many coworkers I've been with who I'm like, speaking to them. There was one in particular who I was like, he was a virgin and he's 26, 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I might have to, should I cut that one out?
Yeah,
damn it. Anyway, I said a hilarious sex joke. Anyway, I just want to make this guy get sex somehow, because he's not being honest. He's not doing it because I actually don't want to have sex with anybody. He's lying to himself and he's living in fear. Yeah. And it's our responsibility as men to fix ourselves. Just like it's your responsibility, I think. Although I think it's more us being being some sort of a guy. But like, the way to, I don't know, we got to really fix ourselves. It's not your job to do it. And not just that. I was talking to some girl once, and she, was talking about her guy that she was with at the time. She was like, I don't know, he's just not like strong. He's just not manly. And I was like, even if you told him how do I put this in a non-filthy way for the podcast? Even if you told him or showed him how to approach you the correct way sexually, would you feel happy with it anyway? No, because you're showing him. Right. He should kind of already know that. Yeah. Right. An accurate, like a real, like that. I mean, that's just nature. That's just nature. The alpha, literally lions will come into a pride and like look for the dude and be like, oh, really? And fight with each other. And whoever the actual alpha is will survive. Right. Will survive and then have sex with all the other female lions. You know what I mean? And then that's nature making selection. Stronger lions. Right. Same thing happens with humans. We need to make stronger humans. But the way we do that is not by making a safe space for everybody. It's just lies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you joined, what was the reaction you saw, how long into the Walkaway did you make your video?
It was, let's see, maybe a couple months old, the movement. It's crazy because right now it's maybe a few months old, and the reaction we got is just amazing because everybody around America knows about it, has heard about it. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people has heard of it, and it's only been a few months. Right. The reaction I got, I didn't expect this at all. My video was blowing up, and I honestly got a little scared at some point because I was actually thinking, oh my gosh, I wish people would stop sharing it. I don't want to be on the news. I don't know what's going to happen. It was crazy.
Is that because of your introvertedness or because of your fear?
It was because of my fear, because everybody would find out. I could have easily been fired from work. I don't know. And I honestly, I'm not kidding you. I was getting freaked out, and I was kind of thinking, oh my gosh, they have to stop sharing it. Just stop sharing it. Right. But now that I look back, it's the best thing that happened to me. I'm so grateful that people took the time to listen to it. And the one thing a lot of people loved from my video was me talking about the appreciation I have for America.
Right.
Because in that video, I talked about how even, it's been 9 years or 10 years since I moved here, and I'll still, be walking down the street at some point, just everyday thing, and then I'll stop and think, oh my God, I'm in America. Right. That's amazing. That's mind blowing. I don't want to lose that. It hits me. Yes. So that's a lot of people were reminded of what a privilege it is. Leftists talk about white privilege, male privilege. Being an American citizen is a privilege.
Right.
All of them have this privilege.
And that's the other thing, too. Let's break that apart a little bit. I think it should be a privilege. Mm-hmm. I don't think I should just demand German citizenship just because I go there, right? I don't think I should just demand, if I go to Germany and I say, you know what, I came here, I walked or whatever from from somewhere else. I would now like you to change all of these signs to also speak in American, not just Dutch or not Dutch, German, Dutch. And I also want to live here. I need a financial assistance until I'm. Oh, also I want to be able to vote, and also give me a driver's license too. Even though I don't, I could literally just lie about my name. I don't need to show you a birth certificate. I don't need to show you. And the reason why the stakes are lower, or the reason why the judgment is lower for that, and that sounds like an insane idea, is because Germany has white people. And if it was the other way around, if this person was brown, Mexican, coming into America, all this, no, we need to lower the bar for them. No, I actually know Mexican people. Mm-hmm. I actually know Mexican people who are awesome and Mexican people who have murdered people, because I do volunteer prison at this prison. Like, human comes in all shapes and sizes, all colors, and yet it still can be wonderful, beautiful, and horrible and wretched.
Everyone has the potential, yeah.
Everyone has the potential. And to think that just because you're brown, you are morally superior is racist.
That is racist.
That is racist.
Yeah. Treating somebody differently in any way, whether it's good or bad, that's discrimination right there.
Right. And not just that, if America was such a hellhole, why are all these people coming here? I'm like, what?
yeah. The caravan situation.
Right. Even I saw, I think it was something like 45 times, even legally, there are 45 times more immigrants to America than they are to even second on the list. Not a lot of people are running into even Sweden or running into Canada or running into all these other, that America calls, these other countries are so much better. Like, no, we have it really good.
Well, if America was never great, why you keep coming here, you know?
Right. Or not just that, but why do all these leftists, if America is such a hellhole, why are you staying here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I drive around, I was driving for Uber. And I, this will happen today where, like, I'll look around and I'll see a gaggle of females just on their phone, hanging out, talking with each other, drinking these lattes, dressed real smart and fancy. They have money. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, these girls are not disparaged. Mm-hmm. These girls are not discriminated against. Mm-hmm. They're not living in a patriarchy. They have it really good. Everyone listening to my voice right now has it really good. Although some people are in Austria and Germany, and there's a lot of other people listening in other countries to this. But I'm like, if you listen to this, like, you're probably listening through internet, aren't you? Oh, you have internet access. Isn't you? Oh, you poor thing.
Right. I don't know how you survived this. But the thing is that they are trying, they see themselves as warriors, right? Social justice warriors, and they think they are doing other people a favor, people who are less privileged. That's crazy, because they think letting illegal immigrants in is makes them kind people and people who have compassion. Right. What about the citizens? What about the African Americans who are in poverty? What about so many millions of homeless people who are citizens who are in poverty? What about why are you prioritizing illegal people over your own citizens who are, in the streets?
Right. compassion is not a finite pie, right? You can't just say like, oh, if you care more about this, you care more about... But finances are. There's only a certain amount of taxes that we all put in. The only way to wrench that up is to take more of my money. So there are literally, even though a leftist can say that they care about them equally, who are they actually giving money to? There's a lot of money, especially in California, that is going and piping in to the Mexicans who are coming here illegally.
Let's be honest. The only reason they're letting immigrants come in is because they want the votes. Okay, we all know the reason. So they realize that their own citizens aren't going to vote for them. So they need somebody from the outside to vote for them. Okay, obviously, illegal immigrants know that the Democratic Party is there for them, and the Democratic Party knows that they're going to get the votes and stay in power because of those illegal immigrants.
But here's something I've also brought up on the podcast before. But like, I know, like, not just through the prison, but I also know other, like, Mexicans through work and through other things. Like, they're not super into the gay culture either. They're not super into the trans culture. They're very Catholic people, Yeah. So as soon as, like, if they did come over here for the votes or whatever, like, they're not going to be super down with trans rights and stuff.
That's not what
they
like
macho
for.
Stuff,
That's not what they're looking for. It doesn't. Here's the thing. If it doesn't have to make sense, okay?
Right.
If you're trying to find logic in this, it's not gonna happen. They are immigrants, which means they fit into their agenda, okay?
Right.
The agenda consists of females, immigrants, people who hate men, identity politics, okay? Identity politics is all they care about. So once you fit in, you fit in. It doesn't matter if you're a good person, if you're a bad person, if you're a drug dealer, if you're a rapist, which... let's be honest, a lot of them are. And that's why Trump is trying to, not let them in, because he's trying to protect us. Right.
So, and this is from my personal experience. I also know some of the guys from prison are illegally here, and I'm not saying that I want them to have horrible lives. I mean, obviously, prison, you need to be, if you're in prison, you're in there for a reason. But, like, once you're, like, you can't tell me that everyone coming across the border is just seeking asylum.
Oh, please.
And not just that, no one on the left ever tries to at least say, hey, what's wrong with Honduras? Let's see what's wrong with Honduras. Or, hey, what's wrong with Mexico? Because right now, I saw a video, they were beating at the border. I think it was the border of Mexico, the southern border of Mexico, right? That caravan was beating at the border of Mexico and throwing bottles and doing everything they could, storming the gates to get into Mexico.
That's the kind of people we need,
right? Why isn't the left yelling? Socially, anyway, why isn't the left yelling at Mexico? Hey, Mexico, let them in. Let them in, Mexico.
I think Trump was talking about this the other day, and he said that Mexico was willing to help them, but they didn't want to stay. Okay, they're not looking for asylum. They want to come to America. Mexico was going to help them out. Yeah, Trump talked about that. Right. So, no, this isn't that. They can't hide behind that.
Right. And not just that, like, let's be really real. Mexico is a dangerous place. Mexico is not, not just for tourists at Puerto Vallarta. I'm saying, like, especially the northern side anyway, that's here where I hear more of the stories. There's some crazy cartel stuff going on over there, man. Yeah. I'm not, no thank you,
Yeah, and when leftists say that, people who are against illegal immigrations are heartless, and, well, I'm an immigrant myself, right? And many legal immigrants also believe that they should be following the laws, because we ourselves did, and we waited for years, and we went through hell. We jumped through hoops of fire to get into this country. So why is it that we had to fight so hard, and then somebody else can just break the laws?
Because they're brown. And leftists think, well, they're brown, so obviously they can't fill out a test. They can't read a book. They can't wait in a lottery. No. We need to treat them differently. We need to lower the bar. It's bigotry at its base.
And then them flying their own flag. And a lot of people say, when you're coming with your flag into a different country, that's not immigration, that's invasion.
Right. So I want to, if you're, how you doing on time? Right now it's 12:55. You're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the process like, if you can break it down a little bit more? Because as a citizen, I have no idea what it's like legally to come in.
The way I got here was through green card lottery, and it was a thing 10 years ago. I think now things are different, but back then it was still legal. So I just stopped by this place where I had to fill out some paperwork. Me and my family. Yeah, me and my family. And we actually asked the guy who was working with us, what are our chances? And he said that he works there, he fills it out every single year and has never gotten any luck. So we didn't think that it wasn't going to happen, but we were just there, and we thought we'd do it. What the hell?
Right.
Filled out the paperwork, and then maybe, what was it, 6 months or a year later, something like that, we get this package. And I still remember I was living with my mom, and it was in the morning. She woke me up, and in Russian, she was like, "Lily, what does it say? What does it say?" And I was like, "It says congratulations." And then we opened it up, and they were saying it said that we were picked.
Wow.
That's amazing. It's 1 in a million opportunity. Never happens to you. So it's amazing that it happened to us.
And it was your whole family?
Yeah. When one person, my mother, got picked, that means the whole family gets to go.
That's awesome.
At least, again, that's how it was 10 years ago.
Sure. I think there is still the chain migration is still a thing. Is that the same thing, or is that different? Do you know?
I think it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah. And so after that, we had to fill out a bunch, more paperwork. We had to do all kinds of medical exams. That was my least favorite part.
Okay.
Just like, yeah.
Now, what do you know why the medical exams?
To make sure we were healthy and we didn't have some sort of diseases that was going to affect other people.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. We had to talk to people. Let me see. Anyway, it was quite a process, and it took a long time. It wasn't a one-day thing.
Right.
We had to kept coming in. That's as much as I can remember. I just remember that it wasn't a very pleasant process with the hospitals.
Right. How long was the process at that point?
I'm not sure. I just know that there was a long wait point. We had to wait for many months to be able to move here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a blur. It's been 10 years, but it wasn't just like, oh, we got picked and then we got here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, once you were here, was there any process outside of that? I mean, obviously there was the financials of setting up a place to live and things like that, but outside of that?
So we still weren't citizens. We were permanent residents.
Okay.
And within 5 years, I think you need to take the citizenship test.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was very lazy, and in the beginning I was learning the language.
Well,
but
you're 18. I mean, what are you going to do?
I didn't care much because I knew that, okay, I'm a permanent resident, I'm good, I don't really have to, I'll wait, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, a couple years ago, my coworker said, "You better hurry up with that test. Trump is about to become president and he's going to deport you." So those little things like that, the brainwashing started over, with things like that. And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified of Trump and that what if he was going to deport me. When I heard about that thing with 7 countries and how people with green cards couldn't stay, I had to check that my country wasn't one of them, because I actually was at work at that time when I saw the article, and I actually had a panic attack at work. That's how terrified I was.
What So was that the travel? No, that wasn't the travel ban. I guess it was some sort of ban. He didn't want people from these 7 specific
Middle
countries
East,
to come
yeah,
in. Okay.
Yeah. And so I took the test. It was 100 questions, and I passed. And then there was a naturalization ceremony, and that was really beautiful because a lot of people had been through things much worse than me to get here. People were crying, very emotional. It was just a beautiful, beautiful day.
Yeah, I've seen pictures and videos where people literally are waving
Yes.
they're super proud about being an American.
Of course, people will do anything to get here, and
Right.
good for them.
Right. Now, in your process of starting to kind of wake up to things on how crazy the left has been, has there been anything when that video started getting shared more and you started, actively being a part of that group as well as, actively posting other things outside of that group, politically charged, have you lost friends? Have you lost family? Okay, all right, that's an answer.
Yeah, so I finally started posting a little bit here and there on my Facebook wall, and for a while nobody was saying anything. And I was thinking, well, where are they? Come on, like I'm expecting you to say something.
Yeah.
Finally, some far leftist people. There is no left anymore, let's be honest. There's only far left. And they finally started talking, and once it started, it was just weeks-long conversations and debates, and
with the same people or with multiple?
Some more people joined, of course.
Sure.
And this was the point where they just couldn't believe what happened to me.
Right.
How could I be so heartless? And one of the first things they said was, "You realize this is how Nazis talk, right?" Yeah. They pulled that card. Yeah.
Right. The Russian female. If the premise was correct, this is something I talk about on the podcast. If the premise was correct, if they were right, then I understand their reaction. My problem is not their reaction, the craziness of whatever. My problem is, hey, the premise is wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, Trump is not a Nazi. You know what I mean? Like, these people who are voting, like as an example, voting from my experience up until after 2016, or I guess right during 2016, was you choose whatever is, the lesser of two evils.
Right.
For some reason, these guys today, the left is just, if you're voting Trump, you obviously have to 100% not just agree with everything he says, but condone all of his behavior and language.
Obviously.
Like, no, I'm allowed to agree with somebody 80%, or even if I agree with them 60%, or let's just go crazy, I agreed with Trump 40%. If I agree with Hillary 30, I'm going to vote for Trump. You know what I mean?
Right.
That I'm allowed to be in the middle.
And for me, it was a slower transition. So at first, I thought I was I'm becoming a conservative. I still wasn't a Trump supporter in the beginning.
Okay.
But as soon as people heard that I was a conservative, their first thing was, "Oh, you're a Trump supporter?"
Right.
So, they don't understand that actually you don't have to be a Trump supporter to be a conservative. Interesting, isn't it?
There's nuance. Oh, my God.
Right.
We live in the real world.
Yeah. I remember when I found out he became president, I was kind of taking a nap because I had been working an overnight shift the night before, and I woke up and I saw that he was winning, and I was hoping this was still a dream because I was like half asleep, and I kid you not, I felt like the sky went black. Huh. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but in my head, when I'm looking back, I felt like the sky went black, and like
in a bad way?
It was the end of the world.
Interesting.
The end of the world. I know how they feel because I was one of them. I felt like we were in so much trouble that actually a Nazi was in power now.
Right.
So when they do things like that, when they become violent and call us Nazis and things like that, they're not trying to be bad people. They're not trying to be angry. They genuinely think this way. They've been brainwashed. The brainwashing is so deep within them that they genuinely feel this way towards us.
Right. And that's why I don't think that a crazy leftist Antifa university kid who's throwing rocks, I don't think he's a bad person.
Yeah.
I think he's a troubled, he or she is a troubled individual. They are emotionally immature. They're living in a world of fear, and they haven't grown up, and that's okay. You know what I mean? I don't mean it's okay like their behavior is okay.
Right.
I'm saying I can't demonize them either. You know what I mean?
The thing is that the leftists took over the educational system. And I've seen some videos of what they're doing in their classes and how they're teaching people on white supremacy and how, they're teaching them to hate Trump. And so this is what they're teaching them now. And so this is why all the progressives are 18, 17-year-old kids who don't know what they're talking about, because this is what they've been taught.
Right. And also because things are really good, we have to, through humanity, we kind of have to feel like we have a fight. You know what I mean? So like when something we talked about as well on the on another episode was this idea of like, okay, these kids, almost all of them are privileged. Almost all of them.
Yes.
And not privileged in like you're a bad person, but privileged like you've had a really cushy, very cushy life. You did karate. If you went to karate or soccer, you didn't grow up bad.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you did ballet, shut up. You're not, you know, just stop. You're not living in a patriarchy, idiot. So these kids who have had a cushy life, in a comfortable family environment, mostly, even if it was a broken home, like you still have people.
Right.
You're a part of something. You're now cast out into the world, and where do you find your family? Where do you find your comfort? Where do you find your security? Where do you find your protection? Where do you find your social life? Well, look at this gigantic, big, waving Antifa flag. It's not only, it covers everything. It's like, hey, this is our social life. This is our a place to belong. This is a moral. This shows you that you have character. This is a sign not just that you are anti-fascist, quote unquote, but this is also a sign that you care and shows that you're a good person. So now, if I sign up for Antifa, I have protection because not just they have pepper spray, but also they have numbers.
Right.
And it's socially acceptable in many circles because I stand for something and I want to tear it all down. I'm an anarchist. I'm a this. I'm a that. And so it covers your social life as well.
Now here's the thing: they say they are fighting for people who are being discriminated against, people against racism.
Right.
As soon as they see an African American person who is a conservative or a transgender person who is a Trump supporter, they freak out.
Yeah.
Okay, so when Milo came to UC Berkeley, and obviously the leftists were there, and there was one transgender person, one transgender female who was a Trump supporter, and that those guys, the leftists, just said the worst things to her. And so this is the person that they're supposed to protect, right?
Yeah, if you're apparently a feminist,
unless you are conservative. They care about women unless they are conservative. Care about African Americans unless you are conservative.
Right. They call abortion a female issue unless the females, which apparently upwards of 50% of females don't agree with abortion.
Right.
You're apparently, this is all about women's rights. Okay, but these women are voting against it. Oh, well, no, those are they have their blinders on. People who didn't vote for Hillary, they just self-hating females. What a loser you are.
What did they say about women who voted for Trump? Oh, they should be ashamed for themselves. Right. And so, even some of my friends, quotes friends, who say that they will be the first one to protect the transgenders. The other day, they saw that they were transgenders at the Walkaway March, and their first reaction was that they're traitors to all other transgenders.
Right.
So, I mean, if you don't think the way they do, you are a traitor and you are a bad person. Right.
There was a guy, and I say that term very loosely. He may have had a penis. That's as best he can do. Is that word acceptable? Yeah, that word is acceptable, right? Your family can handle that word. But there was a guy who did you see he roundhouse kicked that female? This female who's pro-life, who's having a conversation with him, it wasn't even heated. They weren't even screaming at each other before he made it violent. She's telling him this thing, and all of a sudden he roundhouse kicks her. That's an insane person.
And then he tried to say he wasn't trying to kick her, he was trying to kick her phone, as if that's a better thing. So when I vote on Tuesday, and when everybody votes, I hope they remember what I will remember, because I will remember that guy who kicked the pregnant woman.
She was pregnant?
Of course, you didn't know that?
Are you serious? I didn't even know she was pregnant.
She was very much pregnant. He attacked a pregnant woman. I will remember her. I will remember Kavanaugh. I will remember every time I was called names and shamed and just harassed by leftists, because this is not okay, and we need to take our country back. This is ridiculous. They've been in power for long enough.
Right. Males, listen to me. Like, do you understand what we're dealing with here? This is not the government's issue. This is not Trump. This is not Hillary. This is bigger. This is bigger. This is dudeness and truth and context being trampled upon. This is humor being trampled upon. This is being in the middle of the road being trampled upon. This is reason. This is reason being trampled upon. And it's our job, and I'm screaming the F word, this is our job to change it. Be a dude. Be real. And you can do it in small ways. Next time your girl, there was this story. Do you ever heard of Patrice O'Neal?
I think so.
The comedian. Anyway, so Patrice O'Neal tells this story. He's passed away now, but he my favorite comedian of all time. And he tells this story. It's a small example, but it's an example of men being dishonest and female manipulation. So here's how it looks like. He's with this girl. They're going to bed. And she asks, what side of the bed do you want to sleep on? He says, I'll just take that one. And she says, oh, but then I can't see the TV from there. Now, this is manipulative. It sounds like a small thing, but here's what she was doing. She effectively wanted to sleep on one side, but rather than saying, hey, can I sleep on that side, and risk the rejection of him saying, no, I want to sleep on that side, she manipulated him into being the nice guy and giving her that side. That's some weird, that's way deep underneath, that's manipulative female stuff. Now the dude, Patrice could have said, oh, okay, then go ahead. That gives, I'm not saying the females are vindictive evil or whatever, although.
I mean.
But I am saying at that point, at that small little example, opens the door next time for her to do some manipulative stuff. For him to not be, and it's a stupid example, again, it's small, but for him to just go, what he did at that point was like, well, then why are you asking me what side I want to sleep on? You're being manipulative.
Then why'd you ask?
And so he had to make that a thing, because she made it a thing. He had to make it a half hour or an hour argument, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna just let you know right now, teach it, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a wimp. You can't run ragged over me. And that's a small example, but men, use that going forward. Be honest. Don't be mean. Don't be, a little mean, but nice mean, Right. Don't be abusive, but be real. Be honest with the animal inside you. And these little ways, and we're only responsible for our little cul-de-sac. In these little ways, you can help shape the country. You know what I mean? You can, if your boy wants to run around with a fake gun and he's 3 or 4 or 5 years old, let him do that. Let him be himself, and let him do little little boy stuff with little boys. You know what I mean? It's not, you don't have to like, hey, that's heteronormative. Oh, that's dangerous gun stuff. Oh, that's no, don't dress him in pink on purpose. Like, let him be himself,
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, all of this means nothing if we don't vote. The march we did, nothing. All of this means nothing. The thing, I'll give them credit, though. I'll give the leftists credit, is that they stick together and they vote real well. Like, they know how to gain power that way. So I would encourage everybody to go to the polls ASAP.
So I was planning on releasing this episode on Thursday, but now that you're like,
you're right.
Well, I sent in my ballot like 2 weeks ago, so
yes,
you know what I mean. Like, I it's so much, and they do it for free. Why is everyone like making a big deal about? We should all have election day be a holiday. California, anyway, they just tell us, hey, do you want it in the mail? Yeah. You know what I mean. Not only do I get to not stand in line, but I also get to like lay on my bed and like research and Google what this actually means, and like, do I like this person? Yeah, okay.
Well, with me, I actually want to. I encourage everyone to vote early, but for me, I need to vote on Tuesday because I want to be there in person. I want to see the crowds, and I'm gonna wear all red.
Oh no!
And I want them to see the red.
Are you gonna wear your MAGA hat?
Well, I don't think I can because a lot of people have been turned away for that. But I'm gonna have it in my purse.
What do you mean other people have been turned away for that? Well,
they say that you can't wear certain things. Like a lot of people who wore MAGA hat were told to take it off and put it away. So they do that now.
Legally?
I don't know if it's legal. I know some people didn't like that idea and just wore it anyway, but people are definitely asked. I mean, are you surprised? Are you surprised by this? Of course they don't like the MAGA hat. But yeah, I want them to see the red wave, and especially in this city, if I hear somebody talk, say something I don't like about conservatives, I'm gonna say something, and I want them to know that actually I'm right here. I'm right here, and you're not going to talk like that in front of me. So that's why I want to be there in person. But everybody else, please, please vote early.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So something switched in you when you started getting these in these little debates online. When you started, realizing that this big old consequence of coming out, if you will, as not left wing, was not that crazy, and that you were still alive, and you're still okay, and you still have your job, and you're still a person. Okay. Now you're like you're like Rambo. You're just
yeah. Once you get red pilled, that's it. You don't go back. No, because I've seen how I've seen a lot of beautiful people through this, and I've never felt more free.
Right.
And in the Walkaway campaign, we say, silent no more, okay? Because for a long time we were silent and kept our mouth shut.
Right.
I'm no longer staying silent. I'm talking, and I'm going to tell everyone what they did to me. Okay? I'm going to tell everybody.
I feel like that's also you're exercising something out of yourself as well.
Yes,
of, like when someone, that's part of the reason why when someone comes out, or at least especially in the 80s and 90s, when someone came out as gay, it was like, all right, now I'm wearing rainbow everything.
Exactly.
I'm spraying, because it's not just, you guys kept me down. It's like I kept myself in this closet. I kept myself in this box, not just intellectually, but I put on my blinders and said, I'm not going to. And now it's like, screw it. I'm being as honest as I can.
Yeah, because I already have lost everybody I knew. No!
I
don't have to.
Really?
Well, it's not a bad thing, though. It's not a bad thing. I'm glad. It's like it was this weight I was carrying around, and now I'm free. Okay.
So what did that look like when you say I lost a lot of people? Obviously, it starts with a debate. It starts with a really question mark, or catty little remarks. What does the end of that look like? Of someone officially going, and is it all social media, or was it also in person?
Oh, it was both. So I when I was in groups, hanging out with them in groups, just an everyday thing, just hanging out, and of course there's a conversation, and all of them support whatever they are talking about, and I don't. And if I say something, gosh, I'll give you an example. So this guy, a far leftist, was talking about how somebody got punched in the face on the news. Some white nationalist got punched in the face, okay? And he was so excited about that. And he was like, well, I wish I was there so I could punch him in the face. And I said, well, I wouldn't punch anybody in the face. I don't care who they are or what they do. I'm just not going to be violent towards anybody. I don't care. Right. And his reaction to that was, F you. Of course, really? The whole word F, and he was gesturing and everything. He was in my face. I was sitting down on the couch. He was towering over me. My ex-boyfriend was right next to me. Didn't say anything because they're all leftists. Just watched that guy just call me all kinds of names in front of everybody. Just make me look so small. Didn't say anything.
See, even as not. I wasn't in the room, but I even now I feel like the dude in me would have said, "Hey, enough of that, enough of that.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen now."
Yeah.
When I'm on a, I don't take public transportation anymore, but like when I've been on a bus and people, even dude to dude, when there's like some fight stuff, there's something in me, and obviously I'm a big boy, but also it's just like the dude in me is just like, "Hey, here's what we're not going to do anymore."
Right.
And I'm allowed. I'm an impressive, like not impressive, but like I'm impressive, but like I make a scene. I'm not a small, meek person,
right.
And that dude, that instinct in me is like, okay, we're not going to fight now. You know what I mean?
And the thing I can't stand is the public shaming, because when you're doing it in front of other people, everybody's looking, and it's not a good situation to be in. Public shaming is something they're really good at.
Right.
So it's things like that. One time, all I said was, I'm not gonna be violent, okay? I'm not gonna punch somebody, and that was it. I was a bad person because I wasn't gonna punch somebody. It's little things like that.
Right.
And so people would write on my Facebook wall and just like criticize me, and then just delete me, block me. So I've got some people who have me blocked for years now since I walked away, and just make fun of me. They will. one guy took a selfie of himself, used some sort of filter to make his face look more feminine, had a blonde wig on because I have long blonde hair, had some flags in the background, and like that was him mimicking me. You know, just childish things like that. Right. Just let them play. Let them play. Whatever.
This is somebody who doesn't have a job, probably, or at least isn't getting laid.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's something I've noticed too. A lot of women, when they have kids, they suddenly get more quiet on the political front. They suddenly get less like rah-rah feminism, and especially if they have a son. And I think the reason is because not just are they more understanding of manness, and they're more understanding that, hey, there's more important things happening than politics, but they're busy. They're busy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, oh, wait a second. This is way more important. This body that came out of my body, this thing that I am now tasked with and love and am responsible for is way more important than who I vote for. It's way more important than like I've seen a lot of, I'm friends with a lot of gay people. I love the gay community. I'm friends with a lot of these gays. And I keep seeing this narrative of like, he's coming for you. You're on the list. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see that happening. Like, I just don't see that happening. And not just that, Trump is, you could say whatever, you could hate him to death. He's a businessman, and Pride makes money.
Yes.
Pride, I was at Target the week after Pride in June, I think June is when Pride is. I was at Target, and there were rows of old rainbow flag shoes and rainbow flag socks and rainbow flag stickers and rainbow flag. Pride makes money, and you can hate on Trump, but he's a businessman. He wants money. You know what I mean? He himself would invest in Pride companies. Stop lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not coming for you.
Well, they think they know he is, and because I'm a Trump supporter, I've had, complete strangers trying to find me in real life. That's creepy as hell. We had an argument. They didn't like I was a Trump supporter. They found my Facebook. This was on Instagram. They found my Facebook. On my Facebook, it says where I work. Well, it used to say where I work. They called both of my jobs trying to find me. They get to the point where they don't even realize how creepy they are. You can't have an argument anymore. I have friends who have those pipe bombs sent to them. I mean,
bombs.
Yeah, I have one friend who is a real strong activist, and he had that sent to him just the other day. I mean, this isn't, I'm not even talking about how we can't talk to each other anymore and have arguments, healthy arguments. They don't even want us to be alive anymore. That's crazy. And this is what I'm fighting against. And this is what the Walkaway campaign is about. We are walking away from the violence, the intolerance, the hysteria. We're not even telling people to become conservative. We're just telling them to walk away from the violence that we're seeing on the left.
Right.
Okay? If you love America and if you don't like violence, you're welcome in the Walkaway campaign.
Right.
Okay? And who would be against that, you would think?
Well, I mean, and I know anecdotally, and there may be an argument there, but some people would say then, well, what about the Trump supporter who sent fake bombs or whatever, non-working bombs to all these Democrats? First things first about that, by the way. I thought, because Don Lemon said, you heard what Don Lemon said last week, right? So Don Lemon, the CNN guy, I hate saying that. Anyway, Don Lemon, the CNN guy, said we need to stop dehumanizing people and start realizing that the biggest terrorist threat in America is white men.
Yes.
Now, I didn't know this, but
he's married to one.
Well, is he really?
Yes.
Is Don Lemon gay? I think he's gay, right?
Yeah, he's married to a white guy.
Man? Oh, okay. Poor guy. I'm sure he shivers at night. Oh, I'm sleeping with the enemy. But also, the fake bomb crazy nut job who sent those, who has that van that's plastered in Trump stuff. He also, by the way, was half Filipino. So we need to target. If you really want to identity politics the left, we need to start targeting half Filipino men.
Right.
Because we need to, and start searching their vans. We need to start targeting the real problem. They're problematic. Liars. Idiots. Anyway, so anecdotally, the violence, mostly on the left on a person-to-person basis. There are kooks in every cabinet.
Oh,
you know what I mean? There are
yeah.
kooks in every. I mean, there was a Republican. Did you see? I think it was North Carolina, South Carolina. There was a Republican headquarters that was shot at. There were bullets, 4 bullets that got pumped into this Republican headquarters, and I think it was Carolina. And no one got hurt. No one was there at the time. But like that person, I'm not going to blame Obama or blame whatever for that. That is a nut job kook who needed an excuse and found it. You know what I mean? Just like ISIS can be an excuse, or Muslim can be an excuse, or Republican or Democrat, or women aren't having sex with me, so I'm going to go. What's that guy, the incel, involuntary celibate, who drove a van through people in Toronto? I think it was last year.
Okay.
That's a nut job. That's job crazy. Needs excuse, right?
Yeah.
Yelling at or trying to take a look at the excuse itself is not, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not the actual impetus of them driving a van through people is insanity.
Right.
The actual impetus is not being honest and makes them, in my opinion, makes us crazier.
They did that with Kavanaugh too. They drove their cars into his house, so he had to be in hiding.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so I'm not saying that Republicans are perfect. Obviously, we're not. Obviously, there's things there that needs to be changed as well.
Right.
But what I'm seeing on the other side, I don't have words for it. And people keep telling me that, it can't be that bad. You don't live in San Francisco. People that are saying that don't live in San Francisco.
Right.
And, it's just unbelievable because it's not something I read in an article. It's not something I saw on TV.
Right.
This is something I see with my own eyes every single day. The way the cops are being treated, the way the men are being treated. I feel so bad, and I just want to come up to them and say, hey, I love you guys,
The cops,
not everybody hates you. I'm wearing this thing that says Blue Lives Matter every day to maybe make their day a little bit better. And can you believe what it's like to go to work every day knowing that everybody hates you,
or that you may die? You may have a routine traffic stop,
or that little detail,
or that little detail.
Yes.
And obviously, by wearing that, you're not saying you hate all blacks, and you're also not saying that all police are perfect. Obviously, I have seen some. I was talking about it on another episode. I have seen some videos. There was one where this female cop, even though she's a female, shot this guy in the back. He had his hands up. He didn't have, and yet she shot him in the back. He wasn't even running away. She just shot him in the back. Now that's a piece of crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cop, right?
Yeah, that's an embarrassment.
And she was persecuted.
Yes,
or not
good.
persecuted. She was, had consequences for it. But as an example, the Alton Sterling video, I actually watched it, and I watched it many times, and I took notes, and I dug for an hour and a half. I know what I'm talking about regarding that, and the dude was not 100% innocent. The dude had a gun on him. He did resist. He did do this. He did do that. He did threaten somebody else with a gun earlier in the night. Like, stop. Like, not everybody just because, cop is white. Mm-hmm. Suspect is black.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's it. It must have been racism. You're just liars.
The other day, I heard from somebody that there was this situation where there was a shooting and a black guy killed another black guy. I don't remember where that was. I just heard about this yesterday, and nobody heard about this. It wasn't on the news because that doesn't fit their agenda, because the guy who shot somebody was black.
Right, but Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. All lives matter.
I can feel the puckering. See, this is the thing. I love... So part of the way I'm spraying it everywhere, right? I'm waving my, flag is the idea of this podcast, and to have a platform. Most of the time on this, I've had a couple of very left-leaning people.
Oh man,
I had Pollo Del Mar, the drag queen. She's a great gal, and she's very, she's very very left-leaning. At the same time, we also talked about one of the ways that she is not, and one of the ways she is not is she talked about she makes jokes, and she makes she made a joke at she's a hilarious a drag queen host, right? And she was doing this show, and she was making a joke at her own expense about how no one is having sex with her, how her sex life is very minimal. And this is the joke. She said, I'm so hard up for sex right now that I'm thinking of giving myself Jell-O. Right, which is a Cosby joke about someone drugging her so that something will happen to her, sexually. Now, that might be, whatever. But I didn't say any bad words.
Right.
But she got in trouble because quote unquote trouble. Everyone in the room was laughing, but someone went online. She's making jokes about rape, and they tried to shame her in public. And she said, "No, I'm not being shamed in public." And that's a leftist issue. You know what I mean? Right. Even though Pollo Del Mar is doing, she literally was doing that at that show that she quote unquote got in trouble for saying a rape joke. She actually was doing charity work for an organization. She's doing charity, and yet that's not enough.
Yeah.
You're problematic because you're making a joke.
You know who else made a joke? Hillary. She said all black guys look alike. Are you kidding me? And
I just saw the headline. What was that? What's the story?
Yeah, so somebody was interviewing her, and she said, how do you feel about this black guy saying whatever he said? And she corrected the interviewer saying, oh, it wasn't this guy, it was another guy. And so the interviewer confused two black guys. And Hillary said, oh, I know, that's okay. They all look the same.
Right.
They all look the same. Now, I have a friend who was doing, he has a YouTube channel, and he addressed that issue yesterday, and he said, well, she should be able to make that joke. Because you know what? That's the difference between us and them.
Yes.
Because, he's the guy is black, right? And he's okay. They shouldn't, stop making jokes just because, it's about African Americans.
Right.
We live in a country where there's supposed to be free speech.
Right.
Okay, but the thing is that, can you imagine what would happen if Trump said that?
Right.
He would be done. I mean that would destroy him.
Right. I saw it once, and that's it. I've seen. I saw that headline about her saying that joke once, and that's it.
Exactly. You don't see it.
It's been days now. I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing about that Don Lemon thing. When Don Lemon went crazy, or I guess went left, and said that thing he said the other day about demonizing all white men, I think he should be allowed to say it. I think he should be made fun of. I think he should be ridiculed. I think he should be whatever. But if we say Don Lemon should get fired,
right,
then we say everyone else should get fired for saying their mistakes, or for what's her face got in quote unquote hot water last week about the blackface thing. She asked a question. Yeah. She just asked a question. She didn't even say a 100% statement. This is what I believe about blackface. It's fine. She said, well, back when I was young, it wasn't that big a deal. If someone wants to dress up as Diana Ross, shouldn't it be okay to dress up as Diana Ross even though she's black? You're going to be just white, whatever. And apparently just for saying that joke, NBC, who wanted to get rid of her anyway, just totally gutted her and not made fun of her. Did a whole ran a news story, saying, hey, we hate this girl now. You know what I mean? Get her in trouble. Hey, just throwing her out as chum. Okay, if we don't want Megyn Kelly, that's her name. If we don't want Megyn Kelly to get fired, then we can't let Don Lemon be in hot water either. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do think socially there should be some, maybe the consequence should be social. Maybe the consequences is Don Lemon says enough insane, raucous nonsense that, I don't know, CNN's ratings go down. I wonder why. So maybe, that's the consequence, but I don't think someone should have their livelihood cut because either they make a joke or because they say something in passing that doesn't, or even if they say it and they do believe it, I don't think they should be, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So. The liberal media, very one-sided, very biased. I saw this picture the other day on Facebook. Somebody posted that all white people should be killed, and it was kind of graphic, I guess. It was really terribly written about something about white people being killed.
It's always terribly written.
And so somebody reported it, obviously, and the Facebook team got back to them and said, their usual thing, thank you for addressing this, we take this seriously, and then the next sentence, this doesn't violate the Facebook, it doesn't violate. They let it be.
So that same thing happened with
Thanks,
Gavin
Zuckerberg.
Right, with Gavin McInnes. He and a lot of the Proud Boys, and I'm actually going to have Jerry from the Proud Boys back on soon to talk about it. A few days ago, I think about 4 or 5 days ago, a lot of Proud Boys Facebook accounts were deactivated.
Of course,
and they were completely, all of them were shut down. They're a hate group, blah blah blah. And yet the person who doxed, and I was talking about this with Jerry when he was on, the person who doxed, who literally put up Gavin McInnes' phone number on Facebook. Here's Gavin McInnes' phone number. Have at it, right?
Oh man.
He wasn't doxxed. Not only was he not, like I looked it up and the guy's still on Facebook, like, and he actively did something awful. He actively put someone else's life in jeopardy.
Yeah.
You're not, obviously thousands of texts is incredible and thousands of phone calls from evil, or not evil, misguided, childish debags regarding, oh, Gavin, we hate you, whatever. But, like, you're literally putting someone's life at risk. He has a family and sons, and kids. Not just that, he has a family with a Native American woman, his wife, and they have kids. So now Facebook is okay with that happening if you don't share their ideals, if you don't share their ideas. And that's so creepy and so hypocritical and so messed up. And yet we're not even allowed to have that conversation.
One of these days, I'm going to wake up and tell about this to everyone, and nobody's going to believe me.
Right.
Nobody's going to believe me.
Right. So where do you get... we'll start wrapping it. But where do you get your normal news from these days? I mean, obviously, a lot of the Walkaway guys share that you're friends with.
Yeah, I follow a lot of conservative people, like Ben Shapiro, things like that.
Right.
I also have I became friends with a lot of activists during the Walkaway March. I met a lot of great people, so they interview others and they go to rallies together, and I get to see what other people think, and it's just nice to be able to get more information on this instead of being just brainwashed by CNN and everybody else around me who's a leftist.
Right.
Just a little more diversity there.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've talked about this a lot, but the ideas of we need to block out these people, whatever. One of those people, Richard Spencer, I had heard a lot about, this guy's the devil, this guy's white supremacy, blah, blah, blah. So I looked at him and I was like, and just because I always want to like actually do my research, I did my research into him and I'm like, yeah, he's he's racial. I would say he's kind of a D-bag. Like he's just a pathetic kind of guy. I don't like him. I don't like his ideas. I wouldn't say he's like Hitler. I wouldn't say he's like evil, but he's just kind of smarmy, and he just looks like he's always sweating. You know what I mean? Like, so like being exposed to his ideas didn't turn me white supremacist. Like I watched his videos, I listened to his ideas, and I wasn't swayed.
Right.
Done. I trust humanity enough. If I've learned to evaluate ideas correctly, and if I've learned to be honest with the animal inside my gut, I kind of know when something speaks to me and when something doesn't. You know what I mean? I kind of know myself, And so we should be more touting and supporting the idea of be honest with yourself. Find out, read all books, read the Mein Kampf as well as Eat, Pray, Love, whatever. But like go both, read whatever you can, look at all the, and assess for yourself rather than I need to only get this one thing. And, it's just, I don't know.
I have actually my friend from the Walkaway campaign, he said that when he was just beginning to walk away, he found one of the most Republican looking groups on Facebook he could find, and he shared with them that he's a gay man, and wanted to see their reaction, wanted to see if they would really react the way he was told they would react. The most Republican conservative looking group, and he didn't get one offensive comment. The worst thing he heard from Republicans was that I may not disagree with your lifestyle, but I respect your right to live however you want to live.
Right.
So that was the worst thing they said to him.
Right.
So that's when he started waking up and saying, oh man, I guess they're not Hitler.
Right. And lots of people disagree with my lifestyle. I don't think you're living right unless someone disagrees with your lifestyle.
Exactly.
And Milo Yiannopoulos talked about that too. He's a provocateur. He literally was dressed, I don't remember how he was dressed, but he said he's literally dressed in women's clothing, getting ready to go to an event at a 7-Eleven in the South, right?
Yeah.
If there was ever a place to get attacked,
or
at least yelled at by some super right-wing person, it's there. And this right-wing guy was like, hey, buddy, I don't appreciate, I don't like that. I don't agree with your lifestyle, but I respect what you're doing, and I thank you for your work. You know what I mean? Like, so I get a little, and that's a well-known person. You know what I mean? Like,
They call him a white supremacist, and he's married to a black guy.
Right.
That's hilarious. Just things like that.
But again, and this is the thing too, when I was talking with somebody, I mean, one of the things when I was getting ready for this, I'm like, okay, I'm half Puerto Rican. I have some black in me. I have a very close family member who's gay, who, by the way, she voted for Trump. I have a very close family member who's gay. I have done lots of work for the gay community and over the years, and I thought I was bi before. I tried it. It's not really my thing. But like if there was ever anyway. So I have all these reasons, right? I have all these reasons of like, this is my identity.
Yeah.
But if I use my identity as more important than the ideas themselves, especially of free speech, then I'm doing their same game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is so inconvenient, because it would be so much easier to win every argument by going, I'm half Puerto Rican,
right.
off. You know what I mean? Like, hey,
Isn't
you know what I mean?
easy?
Like, my family member's super gay. Like, hey, I win the argument, but I can't do that. I have to think actively about my argument. I have to think actively about what I actually believe and do research. It's such a pain in the butt. It's so intellectually exhausting sometimes, because I'm like, I literally spending an hour, like at the Alton Sterling thing, watching this man die, which is tragic, and watching these cops and their body cameras, and just watching these guys from their perspective and trying to see it from Alton's perspective, and like watching this whole tragic event for an hour and a half, like dunking my head in this tragic episode. It's a lot easier to just close the window, close the blinds, and believe whatever I'm told about it. It's a lot easier to just go, okay, tell me the story, Facebook, and that's what I should believe. Great. You know what I mean? Like, and, but again, it's more, in the long run, it is more exhausting to live in fear. It's more exhausting to live in lies.
Yeah, what we are doing is what really takes guts, because you're right. It would have been easier. It would have been easier for me not to lose all of my friends and just like be, still social with them and just have a social life, which I don't really now, because there's nobody I can hang out with here in the city.
We'll go do something. Don't worry. We'll go. I actually want to be out with you if you're wearing your MAGA hat. I'm telling you right now. I will bring a fucking microphone.
That.
I'm the ball. I'll tell everybody I'm half Puerto Rican before they throw bottles at you. Continue.
Yeah. No, that would be great. But yeah, this is what takes guts, because and Brandon Struck always says this. He's the founder of the Walkaway campaign. He says when he started Walkaway and he started to do research, there was this disconnect between his heart and his brain, because his heart kept telling him, "But we hate them. We hate Trump. We hate them." But his brain was like, but he didn't do it. He didn't do anything wrong, So there's this disconnect. But I knew that this wasn't right. Okay, I knew there was going to be consequences, but I can't live a lie. I can't live like that. So I couldn't be happier.
Right.
I couldn't be happier now.
And the biggest thing over and over for all those who are listening to this episode, because I've had on the Jerry from the Proud Boys, from the Bay Area Proud Boys, from Mark, the MAGA supporter, from Danny, the female Trump supporter, from having you on, from these people specifically, I've had a lot of people tell me, great episode. I didn't agree with everything, but I appreciate that they had a platform and it was really interesting, and I understand where they're coming from. I understand where they're coming from is the word. So, the biggest fight of all this, and I feel like it's the biggest fight of the Walkaway. The Walkaway movement doesn't seem like it's a bunch of people, hating actively the Democrats. It doesn't seem, but it seems like, hey, we allow all people. Like every time, like you said, every time I see somebody who's like, there was a lesbian, short-haired girl.
Yeah.
I know, I can't remember her name, but like she posted that video. short-haired lesbian girl, talked about like, hey, I like, I don't like the Democrats, and she's crying in the video, in this Walkaway video, like, I feel like I'm alone, you know what I mean? And yet me and my partner like decided to, leave this movement, leave the Democrats, and watching all of the people. These are people from all over the world. These are people from all over America, all over the Southern Belt, guys and gals, and in the middle, who have been Republicans their whole life, who have been Democrats and left 2 weeks ago. These are people who are still mostly Democrat, but over and over supportive.
Right.
Everybody.
Right.
Welcome to the movement. Welcome to this. It's giving. The biggest fight is stop demonizing people. The biggest fight is let us have a voice. Let us talk. On the one or two episodes ago, I was having a conversation. And the other guy made a point, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. And like that should be a muscle that I stretch. That should be a muscle that all of us stretch all the time. Going like, here's what I believe. What do you believe about that? And then we figure it out, and then we both listen to each other. One of us goes, yeah, okay, I can see that. Maybe you're right about that. I still kind of believe that. Or like allow us to have the conversation. Once you demonize somebody, you're cutting off conversation. And you can persecute them, and you can demonize them, and or you can eventually kill them, and that's really messed up, and it goes against what they apparently believe.
A lot of people feel like if they are in a certain demographic, they have to be a Democrat. If you're gay, you're supposed to be a Democrat. If you're black, you're supposed to be a Democrat. We're finally giving the space for them to, be independent. And that's what you'll hear in most of the testimonies, is that they started doing their own research. And that's when they, realized that this was a lie. They were lied to. And we've got such a diversity. I saw transgender people, gay people, black people, Hispanic, Christian, non-Christian, doesn't matter. All kinds of people were there, and we were all together, and we were all family. Last weekend at the march, we were all family.
Right. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have to go use the restroom. So let's So a couple of things. First things first, thank you everybody for listening to this. Go to patreon.com/conservatish if you want to support me and my musical and podcastery endeavors. I will be in New York between November 8th and 12th. So if you want to have me play somewhere, or want to just hang out, and I think I'm going to do at least one podcast episode while I'm over there. And then also I will be at. What will I be at? I will be at Amelie Wine Bar singing music at Sunday, November 18th in San Francisco. So feel free to come and yell at me for my political beliefs. Please plug.
I would encourage everybody to join our Walkaway campaign. It's #Walkaway campaign on Facebook. We welcome you. We support you. We don't care where you're from or who you are.
Unless you're black, right?
Please welcome.
Okay. Anything else?
Just thank you very much for having me here, and it's nice to be able to talk without being called a Nazi.
Yes, ma'am. It's a privilege to have you on. I really appreciate you coming on. It
means
you so
much.
A lot. And thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you around.